Today, Democratic House managers will be presenting oral arguments on the abuse of power charge here, something President Trump's lawyers claim is not even impeachable in the first place. I'm joined now by Congressman Mark Meadows, Republican from North Carolina, a member of the president's impeachment defense team, also a member of the Oversight Committee. Thanks for being here, sir.
Good morning. Great to be with you all.
Good morning to you. Take a listen, Congressman, to what Congressman Schiff said on the floor yesterday.
You will hear the president's lawyers make the astounding claim that you can't impeach a president for abusing the powers of his office. Couldn't go to Bill Barr for that opinion. Couldn't go to even Jonathan Turley, their expert in the House, for that opinion. No, they had to go outside of these experts, outside of the constitutional law, to a criminal defense lawyer and professor. And why? Because they can't contest the facts.
And here is that exact evidence. Bill Barr writing, while Trump was president in 2018, the president is answerable for abuses of discretion and subject to the judgment of Congress through the impeachment process. So the question to begin is pretty straightforward, Congressman. Would you say that you agree with Bill Barr, Trump's attorney general, that this abuse of power can be impeachable, or with his new lawyers?
Well, obviously, when you look at abuse of power, what we're referring to here is the suggestion, and I would emphasize the suggestion, that the president actually used the power of his office to curry favors from a foreign nation, when indeed there was no investigation, the aid was released, there were no deliverables.
Factual defense, but as you know, I'm asking you a legal question. And the legal question, I'll restate it if I wasn't clear, is do you agree with Attorney General Barr, or do you agree with...
Listen,
I can let you finish and answer to a different question, but is abuse of power impeachable?
Listen, I'm from North Carolina. Maybe I answer the question a little slower than you listen, but I can tell you I'm getting to the answer if you'll just let me answer. All right. And so what we have here is, as we look at the abuse of power argument that we have, and I'm not an attorney, but when you look at the abuse of power to suggest that the president abuses his power and can be impeached, it would have to rise to high crimes and misdemeanors, bribery, treason, and the others that our founding fathers put out. To suggest it in any other way, it becomes very political and puts at risk every president that will follow this president in the administration.
Does that mean, and you'll get plenty of time, I just think you may be answering the different question. What I'm hearing from you, which is valid, is a factual defense that this may not rise to that level, and I understand that. I guess what I'm asking you, though, because the president's lawyers and you're on the outside advocacy team have made such a point of this unusual claim that abuse of power is not impeachable, and Attorney General Bill Barr, at the time, lawyer Bill Barr in 2018, said abuse of power is impeachable. So I'm asking you, which position do you hold?
If it rises to the level that our founding fathers put out, which is high crimes and misdemeanors, treason and bribery, and you want to say that abuse of power equals those things, then certainly it does. However, what is being alleged, and that's what I was getting to by Adam Schiff and my Democrat House member colleagues, they are over there suggesting that any decision a president makes can be alleged to be an abuse of power. And if we have that standard, and I think that's where Mr. Sekulow is coming from. If we have that standard, then I can assure you that Democrats and Republicans will use that same standard with future presidents, where impeachment is not a historic time like it is right now, but it becomes commonplace. It is not where we want to go, and it's certainly not a standard we want to set.
So let's get into that. You're talking about what the motivation of the president was and whether there's going to be second guessing of every foreign policy decision that any given president makes. Right. What do you think is the defense for what Donald Trump's motivation was in what he was asking Ukraine to do?
Well, it's not what I think. It's what I've observed with 17 different witnesses, hearing literally thousands of pages of transcript and hours of deposition. I was actually one of the few people, Adam Schiff, Jim Jordan, and I were the three that actually sat through all these interviews. And what we heard over and over again is that broadly corruption was the issue, that this president was concerned about. And then the second thing was the cooperation between the EU and their support for Ukraine in terms of military assistance. Those two things came out. Adam Schiff doesn't want to cover that, but I can tell you that that will be covered before this trial is over.
So that's a factual argument. And as I mentioned, you're on the team. You're previewing what we're also going to hear likely from the Trump lawyers when they get their turn on the floor. I guess my question to you is then, what do you do about the president saying what he wanted was an investigation of the Bidens? Not a domestic inquiry into a given company, not cleaning up corruption. He wanted the Biden investigation. And I'm curious because you're also, of course, a member of Congress. You have your own role in the co-equal branch. Do you still support that? Do you think that's a good idea to have Ukraine investigate the Bidens?
Well, listen, any time that we investigate corruption broadly is a good time. Now, unfortunately, sometimes when we're investigating, it includes people of influence, as it does Joe Biden and Hunter Biden in this particular case. If we use the standard that our Democrat colleagues have used, they believe that it's perfectly fine to investigate a sitting president of the United States with all the political complications that that might infer. And so they haven't taken it off the table. But more importantly than that, when we start
just so I understand, and then I'm going to give you more time.
Yeah, because if you're factual, I want to be factual as well.
I appreciate that, sir. And I appreciate you being here to talk it out because this is important stuff. Does that mean then that you still see a Ukrainian investigation of the Bidens, whether it was announced on TV or not, as Gordon Sondland said, you still see that as a proper thing for the president to pursue?
Well, if you look at the transcript, and we want to talk about transparency, and a lot of times that my friends are talking about a cover-up, my friends opposite are talking about a cover-up, I can tell you this is the only president who has actually released a transcript for your viewers and for me and others to actually read. And when you look at that, he was saying that when we referred to Biden, he wanted him to work with the Attorney General. That's certainly appropriate when you're looking at any of that. And broadly, we have to look at other countries' involvement in our election process. Most of this was based on 2016. All the focus is on the Bidens, but most of it was on 2016.
If that's true, as you say, and the transcript does reference the Attorney General, if it's true that that's appropriate, why is the Attorney General denied that they were involved in any such investigation? As you know, and you know your way around this from working in the House on oversight, when the DOJ has a proper investigation, they have a formal process to seek foreign government cooperation. That didn't happen here. And moreover, Attorney General Barr has washed his hands of this and said he doesn't know anything about this. How is that appropriate if he's the one denying it?
Well, you're making my point because it didn't happen. That's the whole point. You had a conversation, and then this investigation never happened. There were no deliverables.
So would it be bad if it did happen?
Would what be bad if it happened?
It sounds to me like you're saying a U.S.-led demand for a Ukrainian investigation of this foreign company that would also involve the Bidens.
No,
you're saying it's good that it didn't happen. I'm saying then, does that mean it's bad if it did happen?
I didn't say that. I said what you're saying is there was a coordination. What I was saying is that Bill Barr was not involved in any investigation. When we work with our allies, and certainly when we work with those that we're giving foreign aid to, rooting out corruption is key. We must do that. We must. Because I can tell you that when the box was checked, when they said, okay, the Ukrainians are dealing with corruption, we have sworn testimony that would suggest that they didn't. And so are there proper channels when you have a foreign country and you want to look at something? Yes, that proper channel is Attorney General, in this case, Attorney General Bill Barr, and that would have been appropriate.
If the president then gets through this trial, if he is acquitted, as his lawyers are saying he will be, and you're on the team supporting them in the public domain, then do you think it's fine for him to go back and continue to pursue a foreign government investigation that does involve the Bidens, the Joe Biden might potentially be his rival in 2020?
But you're asking me a hypothetical, and when we start to look at that, that hypothetical is not something that is at question here, and it's not something that's on trial over in the Senate.
Respectfully,
it's not.
I appreciate you being here and taking the question, so I don't want to, I don't want to suggest otherwise, but I would suggest
you'll find I'm a straight shooter, and regardless of how the panel wants to critique it, I will give you the facts.
Yes, sir. No, and we're giving you time. Don't even worry about the panel. But I would suggest to you, sir, it is not a hypothetical for the reasons that we've been discussing. The president made the request. He released the transcript. Other members of his staff confirmed it. He spoke again about it to Rudy Giuliani. He spoke to Gordon Sondland about it. That is to say, it's not a hypothetical. He made the request. When it was exposed, he seemed to dial it back, but he still admitted on the White House lawn, what I want was a major investigation into the Bidens. So it's far from a hypothetical as we head into a 2020 election where his side says he is being pursued as a political agenda, an abuse of the impeachment power. And the House managers who are still making their case later today are saying, no, in fact, this non-hypothetical hangs in the balance. If he gets away with this, can he go back and do it again? And so I just want to get clarity from you. In your view, can he appropriately still pursue this and other foreign investigations of American citizens?
Well, so here's my view. When we look at Hunter Biden and his expertise and his connection to the Vice President of the United States and his sitting on the board and getting paid unbelievable sums for his role, which doesn't seem to be grounded in his resume, are those the kind of things that we need to be looking at? Absolutely. I think your viewers would agree with that. If this was President Donald Trump's son serving on a board, I can tell you most of your viewers would be saying, why are we not investigating it? This is important for America to understand that it's not just the well-connected that should get high-paying jobs on some foreign country's board, because it looks like they were peddling influence or buying influence. And so should we look at that? Absolutely.
Congressman Mark Meadows, I promised we would give you time. I appreciate you spending time with us.
I appreciate it.
And I appreciate it for our viewers to hear your perspective, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.